Let me ask you this. Is it ethical to demonstrate a medical procedure on a dead person? Is it worse if that dead person is an ex-president of the United States? Well, I have $20 that says I can get away with it. I am about to commit a federal crime, all in the name of science and education. Hello, I'm Dr. James Johnson. I am Medical Director of Vitreous Floater Solutions. I am also known as the Floater Doctor because all I do is treat eye floaters, and I've been doing so since 2007. Today we're going to learn about the accuracy of the YAG laser when applied to the floaters in your eye. We're going to talk about the accuracy, the dead-on accuracy, and the low level of energy that we use, all in treating eye floaters. Before we get started though, I have to ask you this. Please do not turn me into the Department of Treasury, okay? Or all this could go away. And before we get started, we have to go over to the whiteboard and we have to learn a little basic science and basic physics with the YAG laser before we come on over here and do our demonstration, okay? So let's get started. So let's talk a little bit about the physics of the YAG laser when it's used for eye floaters. So what we have here is a cross-section of an eye. I just scribbled a little something in there. We'll say that's our floater in this vitreous space here. Now, most of us would probably think of a laser as something that you have the cat chase around the room, Star Wars space lasers, military lasers, those types of things. And those are single beams of light that if you strike the target, great. If you miss the target, it goes on and continues on, and in this case would potentially injure the retina. So instead, this laser that we use has a cone-shaped energy profile to it like this. There's a red beam that runs along the top and a red beam that runs along the bottom, and where those two beams come together is where the absolute focus is. So schematically, we would have something like this, and the energy is only delivered there. Very, very small spot size, by the way. The spot size, in fact, is about 4 to 8 microns. That's between 4 and 8 thousandths of a millimeter. It's very, very small. Now, truth be told, there's a little bundle of, we'll just call it like a shock wave energy surrounding it, but even that is still less than a millimeter. The point is that the energy is not along a line, it is a point. And my responsibility as the laser operator is to know where that point is all times, and I'm basically moving the entire laser, but basically putting that cone apex, the cone point, where I want to. Now I have responsibility, I need to know where that is, and I also need to keep it safely away from the retina, keep it safely away from the lens. When you do that, with experience and good judgment, when you do that, you can keep the risks of injury to the retina and the lens statistically approaching zero. Very, very, very low. And when people hear about a laser in the eye, they're thinking worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is avoidable by keeping the energy away from these critical and important structures. So that's it. The duration of this laser is very, very short. It is measured in nanoseconds. That is something like 0.0000002 to 3 seconds. It's a very, very short duration of time. As such, there's no time for thermal spread. In fact, the laser really isn't a heat or thermal laser. It uses a process called optical breakdown and plasma formation, which is using a high-frequency electrical field confined to this very, very small spot size. And for that very short duration, you're getting various effects. You're getting, some of those are photochemical, some are thermal, some are thermoacoustic. There is this electromagnetic optical field breakdown effect. Essentially, we are ionizing, that is, vaporizing and destroying those protein molecules inside the eye, which is kind of cool because you don't want those floaters there. So with treatment, there should be less of that material present when we're done than when we started. I have another video that talks about some of the setbacks where there can be some reformation of that, which usually just requires more treatment. But ultimately, we're destroying those proteins. And by the way, you don't have a factory that's making more of those proteins. We are really pretty much born with a set amount, a fixed amount of these proteins. And as you can destroy these things, there should be less available and less seen and all that, and gradual improvement with that treatment. The energy range is very short, is very small, 6 to 8 millijoules. What does that translate to? It's very, very low. And when we go back over here to the laser, I'm going to show you how I can actually focus on the ink printed on top of paper and selectively remove the ink and leave the paper alone. And it's very precisely focused. So, and a very narrow depth of field that's in focus. So it's kind of a neat little demonstration of how, first of all, how low energy it is, but also how accurate that is. I think that covers what I want to cover here. So let's go back over to the laser and let's demonstrate this for you. And let's go ahead and commit that crime. Okay, so we're set up at the laser here. This is the YAG laser. What we got is our laser chamber down here. We've got our light source. We've got Andrew Jackson all in place. I've got my camera all set up. And as you can see in the inset, we have a quite magnified area of his right eye. And what you'll see are these two red focusing beams. And that is where that cone of energy there along the top and along the bottom are these red focusing beams. And where those two beams come on top of each other, that's where the focus is. And you'll also notice as I just sort of jog the laser a little bit forward, a little bit back, and those two red beams bounce around on top of each other, the focus goes in and out of focus very quickly. It's a very, very narrow focal plane here. So I've already made a few shots here, and you'll see that as I fire away at that, I can very accurately remove just the ink off the surface there of the paper and not affect the paper underneath it. Now and that's very precisely focused, for instance, in that area. If I just move back just a little bit, I mean just fractions of a millimeter, you don't get nearly as much punch out of that. Like that's not really much happening there. So it really does need to be focused very, very precisely. If I move much further back, yeah, you'll get a little bit there. And so that's how that kind of works. Yeah. Now, I kind of feel bad destroying the iris here, and I am little bit by little bit, I am literally defacing this $20 bill. And that in the United States is illegal. You cannot deface. Well, I'm defacing, but just starting off with just a little area. But you can see that if I switch over to the other eye, poor Andrew is blind in this left eye now. So I can see the headlines, ophthalmologist blinds president. And that would be clickbait. Yeah, not very accurate, but clickbait. So this is just a demonstration how it's a relatively low energy. It is removing that ink, and that is how the focusing mechanism works. I would not do this to a real person, just the floaters. There we go. I guess you could watch this all day long. I could do this all day long. It's lots of fun. So that's it. That is how the laser works. Now, I tend to talk a lot about the technical stuff as well as the caveats and what to watch out for. What I fail to do sometimes is to mention how this procedure has changed the quality of vision and quality of lives for lots of people that suffer floaters. I have people coming to me from all over the state, all over the country, and I've had many international patients come from all over, as far as South Africa, Australia, Middle East, Russia, Asia, and that's not a testimony necessarily to how good I am, it's a testimony to how desperate these people are to seek treatment. So if you've been told by your doctor that nothing can be done, well, I may be able to prove them wrong. I can't treat everybody, and as I've said in other videos, the younger patients generally not great candidates for treatment, but most of the people that I treat, my bread and butter, are those over the age of 50 or so, especially if they've had a posterior vitreous detachment. Sometimes the bigger the floater, the bigger the gain you get from treatment. And it has been exciting to do something that many of my colleagues say can't be done. So when I say I'm the bad boy of ophthalmology, it's not because I'm defacing US currency, it's because I'm doing something that many doctors have said to these patients, nothing can be done, you're just going to have to learn to live with it, it'll move out of the way, your brain will get used to it, and that's just simply not true. At least it's not true for the patients that seek my help. So if this resonates with you, you are suffering from your floaters, you're doing your due diligence, good for you. Keep in mind that there might be a solution for you. Is it a cure? Well, I don't know, how do you define cure? I'm destroying these proteins so that the patients have a better quality life, better quality vision, and they are quite delighted to have found me and the treatment. So keep doing your research. When you're ready, give my answering service a call, send me a message, and set up the appointment. I'll be glad to see you, evaluate you. Just because you're here doesn't mean I'm going to fire the laser. You have to be a good candidate. I have to feel confident. I have to feel confident that I can do it and do it safely first and foremost. So anyways, thank you for your interest in my practice. I'll be turning out more of these videos, of course, and bring you one step closer to being here. Okay? Have a great day. Let's do that now. Let me have you look down for a moment, and then back to that light again. There we go. Brings it right up there front and center, and beat that up some more. So as I said earlier, this is just a classic Weiss ring, which is just a thickened part of that baggie or sac of that contains the vitreous, and it peeled off from the optic nerve, and that's what gives it its ring shape. It's behaving pretty well. Again, look down, and then back to the light again, and there it is. Okay, again, look down, back to light. Okay, let's bring it forward again, look down, and back to light here. Let's do that again, look all the way down. This time way up high, back down again, back to light. That's better. To your far right this time, and then back to light. Yeah, that didn't really help. Let's do that again. Look down, back to light here. Do that again, look all the way down, this time way up high, back down again, back to light here. Down, and then back to light. We'll make you work for it a little bit. Okay. Drop it down, make sure your mouth is closed, head forward, there you go, sink yourself down, there you go. Yeah, you're drifting up a little bit. Okay, right there. That's good, good, good. Okay, look down. This time way up high. Back down again. Back to later. Okay, look to your right, then far left, and then right again, and then back later. You doing okay?
Yeah, very good.
Good. Sometimes I forget there's a person attached to this eye.
Yeah.
Gotta remember to ask. So I'm just chasing down fragments. Okay, look down. Back to light here. Okay, there we go. Okay, look down, way up high, back down again, back to light here. Okay, let's take a little mini break. We're going to try a little something. Hang on, don't go anywhere yet. Let me sit back. We're going to try a little something.